Our political panel, Brendan Buck, partner at 7 Letter, and Kristen Hawn, partner at ROKK Solutions, here with us to discuss what is left to do or will be done in this lame duck session. The lame duck report, Kristen. Max Baucus was sounding pretty optimistic earlier this hour about a divided Congress being forced to get things done. But that starts in January. What about the next couple of weeks here? Can anything happen, whether it's codifying same-sex marriage? I know that might be punted into the next session. Maybe dealing with the debt ceiling, or is this all wishful thinking?
I think the Democrats will try to do as much as they can during the lame duck. So you'll have, I think probably gay marriage. You'll have the omnibus, and then whatever anything else that they can put in there and get it across the finish line. I think that you'll see it in there. But there's going to be a lot of scrambling, not a lot of time.
Yeah, right.
But to get a lot of stuff in there.
What's the agenda, Brendan, if there is one between now and the end of the year?
Well, it has big implications for what the next Congress is going to look like. You mentioned debt limit, funding the government. I mean, those are big questions that, if they don't resolve now, are going to be on Kevin McCarthy's lap right when he takes over, particularly funding the government.
So we're talking about a potential shutdown as we reel into Christmas?
Whether or not Congress in the lame duck is able to fund the government for a full year, I think is going to have a really big impact on what Kevin McCarthy's speakership looks like in general. Because if they don't get it done, that means they're probably punting it right into February or March, and it's one of the first things he has to do. It will probably be a big bipartisan ugly bill that he's going to have to shepherd, and the conservatives are not going to like that very much. So that's a big question. Yeah. I'm very skeptical there's enough momentum for a debt limit. Those are some of the hardest votes there are. They don't actually have to do that until the second half of next year. So getting their homework done that early seems very unlikely. But again, that would be a big gift to Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah, they sure would. And we'd be setting up then without that, with another fiscal cliff situation next year. That's going to be the moment for this new speaker if he gets the gavel.
It will be. And, I've heard some reports of, the Republicans not wanting to fund the government for a full year. I mean, politically speaking, that's the best thing you could do for Kevin McCarthy. And we always seem to have these fights when Republicans are in control over the debt limit. For whatever reason, the Democrats have been much more willing to go forward and make it less of an issue. But I remember working in the House and, sitting, waiting, and trying to figure out the Republican leadership trying to work with members of the Freedom Caucus who are holding the debt limit hostage. So I think Brendan's right. A lot of these must-pass things that we have to do are going to have to be done on a bipartisan basis if the Speaker can't pull the entire caucus together. And beyond that, I don't have a lot of hope that there's going to be a lot more that is going to get done, particularly leading into a general election year.
We're keeping score here on the leadership battle. I'm sure you are as well, Brendan. How difficult is it going to be here for Kevin McCarthy to get to 218 when you have Matt Gaetz and company saying they'd rather be waterboarded by Liz Cheney than vote for Kevin McCarthy?
It will be difficult, but I do still think he'll get there.
Yeah.
And it may not be there on the first vote, and I think that's okay. It's something he's going to have to potentially live with. Clearly, you have, I think, 5 people now who have said they're not going to vote for him. I don't know that they'll never vote for him ever. It may just be on the first vote, and they're clearly just trying to grab leverage. They're clearly trying to get something out of him, but that's going to ultimately become pretty unpopular within the Republican conference. Kevin McCarthy is the choice of that conference to be the next Speaker of the House, overwhelmingly the choice. And at some point, a handful of people hijacking what is the will of that conference is going to create a lot of pressure on them to finally give in, because all they're doing at that point is working with Democrats to block the will of the conference. So I think he's going to get there. I'm not willing to predict it's on the first ballot, but I don't think there's anybody better suited to do that. And at some point, he'll be able to lean on them a little bit more. So I think he'll get it.
What's Hakeem Jeffries' strategy going to be the next 2 years? Is it obstruct? Is it keep Kevin McCarthy from getting anything done, or prove that we can find compromise?
Well, I don't think that we need to help the majority, the Republicans obstruct. I think that there's going to be Hakeem. What I was really glad to see with our caucus, and it's been in the works for quite a while now, was that there is no intra-party fighting right now. I mean, you saw Hakeem and Catherine Clark kind of emerge, remarkably smooth, and it's been something that the congressmen and the congresswomen have been working on for quite a while now, and I feel good about them taking over the caucus, the Democratic caucus. I do think he is somebody who does like to get things done, and anybody who knows Catherine Clark too. I mean, she comes from Massachusetts. She comes from more of the left side of the caucus, but the reason why there was such smooth sailing is because you have New Dems and Blue Dogs who make up, a little bit more than half the caucus who are backing these people as well, because they listen. And as long as they listen, like the Speaker Pelosi did to her caucus, and negotiate in good faith, then, I think that there's room to be done. But he's an actor in good faith. So.
Fascinating conversation. It could be quite an exercise in herding cats, it sounds like. Brendan, thank you. Kristen, thank you for being with us as part of our panel here on Balance of Power.